Welcome to another episode of Anytime Fitness Sweat the Big Stuff podcast. Very pleased and honoured to have our next guest, Colin Whittingham. Colin,
Hello.
How are you today?
Very good, thank you. Good morning.
Good morning to you. We've had a good chat off there, so you've warmed me up, I would say.
Good.
And I hope you're ready for a really good chat today.
I am indeed.
Loads of stuff, Colin, that we can cover. So I think really we'll kick off with sort of your history with Anytime, because it's been a long time. Tell us about that from the start, if you can. You've been working with us for a long time.
Yeah, we have. I think it's 2013, I think. I'm right in saying 2012, 2013, first club. Shout out to Del Stevens, Leighton Buzzard, thank you. And then it's been quite a journey since then. It took us a while to get our first one. But yeah, we've been now doing that journey with you guys for 13 years. So it's been very good, very exciting times.
Yeah, brilliant. And I think throughout the discussion today, I'm really keen to go into the differences in that time, the things that you've learned, club design. I think for any prospective franchisee listening to this podcast who is going to think about building a club and sort of the pressure they may feel around that, I think it's going to be really good to get insights from you around your experience, and we'll talk about your club numbers. There's lots you've done.
It's changed a lot, Kieran, obviously over that period completely. Excuse me. It's changed a lot over that period completely. Back in the day, we'd turn up at an empty building with the franchisee, and effectively the contractor would almost design the club at that point. So it could be quite confusing for the franchisee, because they would have 3 contractors come in, get 3 different designs, 3 different prices, and really, get a little bit lost in the process. Obviously, the Anytime Fitness team was a lot smaller then as well. So there probably wasn't the same level of support that there is now. Yeah. So we've definitely seen the process change and improve tremendously over that period.
Amazing. Brilliant. We're going to get stuck right into that. Colin, when you're not building clubs, yes. You've told me some great things this morning, but for our listeners, give us an insight into what you like doing when you're not building Hell's clubs.
If we talked about golf, is a big love of mine. So I like to play golf. I like to play local. I especially love the fact that you get to go and play golf abroad, which is lovely. And we just talked about a trip I just got back on. Horse racing, which we both share a love of course. And gutted to miss the recent Anytime Fitness racing meeting there at Sandown.
We missed you. Yeah, it was a great day.
Gutted to miss that. It's one of the most favourite things that I do. And of course, the beloved Leicester City, which can't go without a mention. And football in generally, really. And we like having a flutter, don't we, as we've both sort of just spoken about. So.
Absolutely. Yeah, we do. And I think that busy lifestyle that you have with those interests, it's important to be able to, you're all over the country. You've done so many builds for us. It's been a really busy year this year. To have that thing outside of your day to day that reinvigorates you when you're not working.
Yeah, exactly.
Really.
And the family, of course. I mean, that's massive. I should mention that. I mean, that's the number one before anything else.
We'll be getting you in trouble if they're not.
Oh,
you correct that well, because they might be watching this back on YouTube, and you'll be in trouble.
There you go.
You were very modest, Colin. You talked about your recent trip to Marbella, where you played golf. Yeah. I feel it's only right that we shout out your hole in one.
Yes, my ace. Thank you.
Tell us about that, please.
Well, a nice smooth 6-iron up the hill, 185 yards, and in she popped, which was quite nice.
Brilliant.
Yeah.
I can't think how you would have celebrated. If that was me, I'd be running around the whole course.
Quite an embarrassing over celebration, I feel, actually. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. My playing partners were great, and the only thing I'd probably say is don't get a hole in one in Marbella. A bottle of whiskey is €150.
Ooh.
So
it's the tradition you buy the round, isn't it? But that might be slightly different wherever you end up playing your round. So amazing. Thanks, Colin. I think also such a such a key milestone. You talked about working with us for the past 12 or 13 years as a brand. Recently with Hackney Downs, which I have to say is an incredible looking club. We took some of our Australian friends over to see that club 3 weeks ago, and they were very, very impressed with how it looked. 4,600 square feet. It felt really big, to be honest. It was cracking. Now for you, that's your 100th.
It is
Anytime
100th. Yes,
you're 100. I remember at the conference that we had last year, we were talking about 2025 being the year that you were going to hit the triple figures. So, firstly, huge congratulations to you. That's that must have been a really satisfying moment, and especially to do it with a club like that, because that club's had a really strong pre-sale and it's doing really well. So massive congratulations to you on that.
Yeah.
Naturally then sort of lends me to ask you, in the time with where those first 10 clubs were built to the 30th, 40th or 50th, what are the sort of key things that you've noticed? You touched upon club designs being completely different at the start, but what else? What's changed in that time designing and building clubs?
Well, obviously for us, the depth of knowledge that we've gained over that period of time has been very, very helpful. Sure. The more you build, the more you learn. It's obviously a very collaborative approach with you guys, head office and the franchisees and the franchise network, because they all support one another. Word of mouth gets around, and we've been happy enough to accept recommendations, and Hackney Downs is a case in point there. But yeah, things have changed a lot. The designs have changed, of course, and that's an ongoing thing. And we've just seen some brand new designs come out, which are quite exciting. Yep. We're still getting our heads around those, having only just seen the first few clubs coming out with those designs and seeing the new design packs. But I think we've tried to grow along the lines with Anytime Fitness as they've grown, and we've seen the changes come in. And just going back to that brand new design pack, when you see things like, the new wellness spaces and recovery zones and saunas and things like that going in. Well, obviously, if you rewind, 12, 13 years ago, there was no discussion about anything like that. Bathroom designs have completely changed. We've gone from, relatively large singular private bathroom spaces now to very nice design unisex bathrooms, beautiful showers, waterfall heads and all this sort of thing. Everything has stepped up a notch, and the clubs just look so much more premium now, I guess, than when we started. You can really feel it when you go in and see, and I think some of the areas that you touched upon, but the bathrooms there particularly, that strikes a chord both with our members, our franchisees, and people that are looking to enter the network, Colin. Now look at that, and we've got that sweet spot of the mid-market price point. So you're going to be looking at a late 40s to early 50 price point on a membership. So we're not touching the premium offerings that, some of the big chains offer at, 200 plus a month. We don't have the bells and whistles with the swimming pools, and we won't ever go that way because of the cost, and it's not really in our design. And with the saunas, we're undertaking our first trial of that. So that, that may not be something that we go forward with, but what it's showing is that certainly recovery zones are going to be here to stay. We're open-minded to that value add now to the brand, and making that experience feel more luxury, more premium, but still having that real high value proposition. And I think how member-centric our teams are plays a massive part in that. You can't have a beautiful club with poor staff that's not going to create the vibe and experience. But you guys, and our design team that feed those designs in alongside the architects, you're the first step on that, Colin, aren't you? Because if you're adding these premium finishes and the clubs,
get off to that start with what you've built, then it doesn't half help the franchisee to say, look, a space to be proud of, isn't it?
Absolutely. And I think it always has been, to be fair.
Yeah.
I just think what's happening now is we are seeing, the more premium finish look, which is lifting the brand level. Without lifting, I mean, some people would say that construction costs haven't gone up significantly in relation to that. What you have to remember about a lot of what we do is you don't really see it. So you're seeing the finish, you're seeing the paint on the wall, the flooring on the floor, the tiles on the wall. But there's a tremendous amount of work that goes into getting to those secondary finish points. And it's like when you build anything, you don't see the guys who put the spades in the ground. You only see the guys who hang the lights,
Sure.
So each club, each site offers very, very different challenges. You might go and find, Kieran, for us, a lovely developer's white wall box where they've already screeded the floors and there's no acoustic issues and the windows are in and it's not going to flood and these services are all in and connected and in the right place. Don't think we've ever had one of those yet.
Which right.
We live in hope.
Yeah. No, I think you touch on some really good points there. And I think one of the major things that we always say that we're proud of, we've converted ex-McDonald's restaurants into Anytime, new look retail spaces, light industrial spaces, offices. I'm missing so many bottom of residential
Chinese
blocks.
Restaurants.
We really have. We're in a Tesco superstore in Woolwich. We can create an opportunity really, as long as the demographics work. What I've always loved about meeting you in these places, certainly in my time in property, is you might scratch your head a bit, Colin, when you look at something, but you guys always find a way, whether that's a rebrand of a previous gym that looks nothing like an Anytime Fitness. You don't get many Cat A's. Would it be fair to say that sort of Bermondsey was that maybe your nicest looking building that was handed over?
Probably, yeah. I mean,
it was a good looking building.
Nice looking building, great franchisee as well in Harry, very knowledgeable guy.
Yeah.
Great, very easy to work with. We did quite a lot of landlord works there, but when you saw the site as an empty shell, then absolutely, doesn't this look great?
Still wasn't plain sailing though, was it?
No, and none of these sites ever are. So, structural engineers involved cutting holes in slabs to put stairs in, and then some last minute stuff from the approval inspector for fire stopping and these sorts of things. But it's all part of the challenge. And then Harry's had his own challenges with, water ingress and things like that since that, we've also helped our works during and since actually. So yes, even that one, looking as clean and tidy as it was, proposed some fairly significant challenges on the way. Yeah.
I think the positive thing around it is that no challenge has ever seemed to be insurmountable. You've always managed to be able to box clever when you've had to.
Yeah, I mean, I think when we were talking previously, we were talking about, have there ever been any real disasters? And the answer to that is no, there's never been any real disasters. There's been some incredible challenges along the way with certain
and
sites.
Some surprises, I guess, where things that you didn't maybe expect, which is life, isn't it?
And strip out often is one of the main things that does
opening
that to
Pandora's box. Maybe.
You certainly are, because until you've done the strip out, you don't actually know what you're going to find. And then, of course, it's a case of how quickly and competitively you can solve those problems for the franchisee, move on and get the build back on track. So that's what we aim to do. Yeah,
brilliant. And you've done such an amazing job of that, you guys. Colin, when what's the sort of golden moment for you when say a fit out is finished and you've got to the end of that 8-week, 10-week program, for example? Where does the satisfaction really kick in for you? What's the moment that you think,
just before we hand over and the kit starts coming in?
Okay.
So we've effectively finished. So all the challenges have been dealt with. The club's finished. The cleaners are in doing the clean, and we're getting ready for the kit to come in. Because at that point, our our element of the work is over.
Sure.
It's always great at that point to have a position where the franchisee is doing well on their pre-sale as well.
Yes.
So it's a bit of a golden moment for both of us, and it can be celebrated. And I know the kit guys are always very pleased with us that we're out of the way.
Yeah.
Same with the signage people, we like to make sure that we stick to the program, get out the way, and then give these guys a clear run. And that's kind of the golden moment, really. Look, we might be twiddling a few bits of paint here and there, touch-ups or whatever while that's going on, but we have effectively finished. So that's my sweet spot, really.
You feel that we've done a good job, and
the guys that are in-house now for me are tremendous. I mean, Kevin Harrison, who is our contracts director, is he's so diligent and really takes all the pressure off me. Makes me look good is what he does. The other guys we've upskilled some of the other guys now. So Dan is doing a lot of remodels, and now just doing his first organic club in Southsea for me. James, who recently did Leamington Spa, and Josh, who's doing some remodels and stuff for us now. So we've upskilled the guys in the contracts team, which we've had to do because obviously Kevin can't handle everything.
We've had a lot of volume of work.
We've opened
a lot of clubs. So.
Yeah, and it's something we're always looking at. It's exciting times now with the new Australian guys coming in. Having managed to grab a few minutes with them recently and hearing what their thoughts and plans are for the future. I mean, it's exciting. And if the numbers of clubs which they are targeting, and I've no reason to believe that, that won't happen. They seem like they've got the energy and the drive to do it. Then we're delighted to, come along on that journey and hopefully help and assist with that.
Yeah, brilliant. And look, they really want to elevate the design and have a meticulous attention to detail around the things that are going to increase the space looking as amazing as what it does. And I think that's refreshing for all of us, really. So, I'm sure, Colin, when you see a franchisee's face when they realise that, oh wow, on day one of the spade in the ground, so to speak, versus where it is now, I bet you take a great sense of satisfaction that you've done a good job for them.
Yeah, I do, because I've also been on the journey. Of course, I have been a franchisee, as you know.
My next question. Yeah.
Okay, there you go. Then. So I've been on that journey of having a club built. All right, I was building it for myself and my business partners, but we've been on that journey, doing the pre-sale, juggling everything, having to sort out all the other things outside of construction that also have to be dealt with. Insurances and fire safety certificates and all the many other employing staff and
those
corporate clothing and absolutely, I have, and so I understand the pressures and the investment, the skin in the game. It's not cheap opening a club. You've got to make sure your ROI is there, and it's a tricky time. It's a worrying time. So it is a good feeling when you get to that golden moment, as we talk about. If the pre-sale's gone well and the club build's gone well, you're both at a really good point, and it's a nice feeling.
Yeah, definitely. I think, I definitely want to explore just a little bit your time as a franchisee, but certainly what it does from what you've said there, and considering that holistically, it gives you a different perspective to most, to be fair, Colin, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Because you've sat on the other side of that fence. You've experienced all of those different milestones and challenges that you need to achieve. So tell us a little bit about your time as a franchisee with the brand then.
Yeah. So, obviously I was building the clubs for you guys and seeing how well that a lot of the franchisees were doing. So I thought, well, why not have a go? So, bought a pin. It was actually for Melton Mowbray. At the time, looked around Melton Mowbray, tried hard to get a site, and fell into a trap that I think a lot of franchisees do. Got married to a site, really. I was desperate to do it. It seemed perfect, and every challenge that came along, I kind of brushed aside, saying, oh, well, I'm sure we'll be able to sort that out. And after about 9 months of messing about with some faceless landlord in London who just kept really being quite silly. In the end, I had to bite the bullet and walk away. So that was 9 months completely wasted.
Would you have done anything differently? Would you have
100%.
walked away sooner, do you think,
I would have.
Colin?
Well, first thing I'd have been doing is looking for multiple sites at the same time.
Yep.
That's what I'd have been doing, rather than finding what I thought was the perfect site
And putting everything,
all of my energies into that.
Yeah.
Because effectively it was a waste of my time. So yeah, I would very much look wider afield and look at more properties and be more open and not get quite so married to it. Take advice a little bit earlier as well about it. You know, people were saying things and good advice, but I didn't want to listen because I'd found this great site.
Well, I think that's amazing advice, you know, for any new franchisee wanting to get into the game, build their own club, become a franchisee. I think we would always want your, we would always want you to make a decision based on facts and based on evidence. But I think anyone would be lying to say that emotions play a huge part in a decision. And if you get wedded to a site, that's understandable.
It's like buying a house. Really,
you really want it.
Becomes like it,
and you visualize what it will be.
You've walked around, you've seen it. You thought, "Oh, this is going to be amazing. I'm going to put this there, put this there." Yeah. So yeah, it was a complete waste. And you know, that was 2015 probably. That building is still empty. That landlord is still messing around. Clearly, whoever might want to go in there. So yeah, drop that. Then went looked in Loughborough. Couldn't find anything there. And then ultimately there was a site in Loughborough which was opened by others, which is fine. And then I just thought, right, let's just look everywhere. And because we were up in the Midlands, territory not quite so tight at that time. So I managed to JV with a couple of guys along the way as well. Russell and Stuart, who are personal friends of mine now. We met through business, but now we're really good friends.
Yeah.
And together we found a site in Rugby, and fabulous landlord, couldn't do enough for us, and that's where we ultimately laid our hat and opened there.
Yeah, and did very well. And I think the journey. And I think that's common of lots of franchisees, you know, Colin, where I was talking to Nimesh, one of our franchisees, the other day, just around, you know, Putney, and when he originally found a Pets at Home unit there that ultimately didn't work out, and he was, you know, really, really devastated that he wasn't able to get the planning on the site, and he went up to open another site in Surrey, and then, you know, it came back round and there was a better site in Putney and he ended up opening that. So I think what it probably says to everyone really is be open-minded. It isn't just the one opportunity. You've got to have 3 or 4 in the pipeline, or 3 or 4 opportunities that you're looking at, and have a broad mindset to it.
I think so. I think it's important to keep your mindset open when you're looking for sites, and then, you know, when you've found the site, make sure you do your due diligence, because, you know, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck and it sounds like a duck, it's a duck, isn't it? As they say. Do they say that? I don't know.
Yeah, I think so. I've heard it before. We'll go with it.
You know, some sites, you know, are good. Some sites aren't so good, and you know, you've really got to make sure you've got the right one.
Yeah, and there's some in a location that's absolutely amazing, and it's often accepting that this might need a little bit more work than another one, and how does the return on investment stack up? And actually, it might. We've had some franchisees take on what would appear to be difficult sites, and they are, but through the work of some strong landlord negotiations and some support from you guys, you've been able to overcome those sorts of challenges. And yes, it might cost a little bit more money, but it's that risk versus reward and financially modelling to say, it might take me an extra couple of months to get my cash returned, but reality is I'm in a really good really good spot, and actually it's worth that extra investment.
Absolutely.
So it's weighing both up, isn't it?
There's no 10 out of 10 sites. I don't think we've ever seen a 10 out of 10 site. So you have to balance it. And, sometimes, the site might cost more. We might have to put, Hendon, for instance, great site, but we had to put all the windows in and do quite a lot of acoustic work and that sort of thing. But, ultimately good site,
and it's gone to do well. So if the guys would look back on that decision, they would say, I've got the right site. And yes, I needed to invest a bit more because the site wasn't as ready as maybe another one might be.
We're always happy to help. I mean, I know you guys. Anytime you've got your team and everything set up, which is great and very helpful. And we get the tender packs through now, which are very, very detailed, and we price from those. But I'm always still happy to stick my head through the door of a property. That
I do,
and just comment and help people, as and when I can.
And it is helpful because we don't expect our franchisees, Colin, to be a technical expert on commercial property. They partner with us and our brand, and you're very much part of our brand. You're a brand partner, but we see our level one suppliers as an extension of the brand. You are the brand. It's important. We wouldn't be able to do what we are doing without you guys. So no, those things are definitely really helpful. Going on to now a little bit more nitty gritty. For those that won't really understand how a finished gym starts and ends, could you give us some insight, Colin, into the journey of sort of how the club design starts with us?
Yeah.
And then what are the stages briefly that go on with you through then to the end product? Could you tell us about that?
Yeah. So obviously, you've got an architect in place who does the design drawings. I think prior to that, though, you now have a due diligence done.
Yes, we do.
Steve at PSC does the due diligence reports.
It does.
And that'll flag a dog, obviously, or not. Sometimes we're invited or asked to help with mechanical designs and things like that. I think that's going to become less and less now, though. I think with the new design process, that's probably going to move more over to the initial design stages. And then we get the tender pack through from Mesh, and that hopefully has an acoustic report in it. Structural engineers reports, things like that. Certainly we're going to see that coming through more now. As the process has evolved over the years, we began by sort of liaising directly with those partners. So people like your acousticians back in the day, Cass Allen, people like that. We'd even meet them on site and help with tests and that sort of thing. And it's those building blocks that have to go in place to enable Mesh to do the accurate designs. Once we've got that, then it's a case of us coming down to site, doing the survey, meeting with the franchisee, sometimes for the first time, sometimes for the 20th time, who knows, doing a full site survey with our guys, making sure that we're fully aware of all site conditions before we put pen to paper and put any pricing on it. Away we go. Pull all of our team together, because obviously we're part of your team and we have our own team of people who help us, our supply chain. And together we pull together what we hope is, a competitive and quality bid for the franchisee to consider. And then if we're selected, then it's a case of getting the drawings from Mesh, doing all the construction phase works ready, doing the pre-start meetings on site, placing all the orders, and then away we go. How
long would an average build take, Colin?
Typical build, I would say 8 weeks as a typical, 5,000 to 6,500, 7,000 square feet, something like that. Depending on the complexity of the site, that's a clean build.
Yep.
If you've got to do additional works, if you've got to do, say, for instance, insulated screeds, which have to be obviously poured and cured, then that's going to extend. If we have to do things such as sprinklers or any high level of acoustic closure, or external glazing, any of these things are likely to add time to the program, because obviously we want a watertight site to be able to commence the actual internal fit out works. So typically 8 weeks, 8 to 10 if you've got sort of some of those or a combination of those works. And then obviously sometimes you get bigger ones that take longer.
A little bit longer, yeah. But I think that's certainly, we see that as a typical average from the start to the practical completion.
Yeah, some are more difficult. I mean, for instance, Clapham for David, ultimately a wonderful site. I mean, if you go there, it looks incredible. David spent a tremendous amount of money on it, and it looks really, really good. And I think he's smashing it on numbers.
Yeah, he is.
From a build perspective, it was an absolute nightmare. 3 stories, 4 stories, 5 stories, with the sort of ancillary bits and pieces, and tough deliveries, central London, tricky build.
It's amazing when you think about those things, that all of that work from you guys that's put in that time to work with the design and overcome those hurdles. But ultimately, once you get there and it's open and the pre-sale's amazing and their trading is amazing, now they're doing really well, it's all of that work's forgotten about to a certain extent. Yeah, and what I don't mean is they don't forget how amazing it looks, but actually all of the different challenges you had, it's credit to you guys. You find a way through it, and what is then seen at the end is the finished product. And
it's all about working with the franchisee and getting over the challenges that you meet during the construction process.
So on to that very point, then working with the franchisee.
Yeah,
we see so many different types of franchisees, and what I mean by that, franchisees that have multiple other franchises, multiple other businesses, to those that are opening their first gym, or people that are in full-time employment and are doing this as sort of an extra business alongside that. How would the support and the information that you give to a franchisee differ from franchisee to franchisee?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, it really does depend on the depth of knowledge for the individual franchisee.
Sure.
So, like you say, when you've got guys that have got multiple clubs, then they're pretty knowledgeable on the process.
Yep.
And very driven and directed on exactly what their needs are. And then I suppose at the other end of that spectrum, if you like, is you've got the person who has no fitness industry background, no practical construction or property background. Maybe they're in full-time employment. They're going to need a hell of a lot of support and, education and upskilling quite quickly to be able to get on board with the process. And then you've got everything in between there, sure. Of course.
I think if we were just for a second focusing on those that are the newbies, if you like, that are brand new to it, that haven't got that construction background and it's their first time working within the fitness industry. I know we'll have a lot of people tuning into this that will be in that position, and they'll be thinking, I've never ran a gym, or, I go to the gym and I'm passionate about fitness, but I've never ran a gym, or I've never built a gym. I guess, what would you do to reassure them that actually it's not as complicated as it seems when you're partnering with someone who's built 100 of these things?
Well, it's not. Yeah, I mean, you're partnering with Anytime Fitness first and foremost. You've got a franchise. The reason you bought the franchise is you're not on your own. You're not building your own gym. You are part of a family, and you're building an Anytime Fitness gym. And within that, you've got brand ambassadors like us and partners like us who are here to help and support that. So the process, it's a hand-holding process, isn't it? It's, moving people along to the ultimate end game of having a great quality gym that's earning you money. So, yeah, I mean, have a go. It's fun, right? Having a gym is fun, interacting with, the people, and it's an exciting business to be in.
I think I've spent my whole career since the age of 16 in the fitness industry, and the last 5 years in franchising. It's something I've always been passionate about. And I feel, I can understand completely anybody that wants to spend many years in this industry and running their own gym. There's no better product than someone's health and fitness, is there? And I think it's the memberships that you sell and the revenue that you generate is fantastic from being a franchisee, but you're doing that by really doing some good work within a community to make people feel fit and healthy.
That's the word, isn't it? It's used a lot, isn't it? Community, and that's the truth of it, isn't it? Well, that's what you're trying to build, a community around the site. And there is no site unless we build it for you. So
yeah,
that's where we go.
Absolutely right. And this whole series of podcasts that we're doing, Colin, is all about giving the listeners an insight into all of those elements. So we like to have an episode with a franchisee who's walked every day in those shoes. You've got that position too. But we like to have our brand ambassadors and trusted partners to be able to walk through the detail of that, because there's challenges in every business, and we would never sit here on a podcast and make it sound glossy and shiny that it's going to be easy. It's going to be hard work. But actually, why would you partner with a franchise that's built 5,500 clubs up in the world? Because we know what we're doing, and we've got people around us that can help through that experience. So I guess in summary to that point and that discussion, it shouldn't really be a scary thing for a franchisee to think building a club, because they're working with us as a brand, they're partnering with us, and we've got guys like you on site.
In place, haven't you? That's the thing. You've got all the specialist providers there and ready to help them and to build that business with them.
Yeah.
And that's what we're here for.
Yeah, definitely. Thanks so much, Colin. Okay, so I think as a business, you'll have built. You were talking to me about something that you're looking at this afternoon.
Yeah.
You look at office spaces, and there's different things that you do within your portfolio. I know we're here to talk about Anytime Fitness today, but if I talk specifically within sort of the framework of a franchise, how important to you in terms of the detail of fit out do you have in your mind around it's got to make sure it hits the brand compliance? Because you've been through 100 brand compliance certificates, and ultimately from the start of the design that you're handed to the end when the practical completion hits, the goal is to get a compliance certificate for that to be a fully compliant Anytime Fitness. So if we talk around that compliance, how does that work? And does that put any more pressure on you guys in comparison to a non-franchised fit out that you would be doing, as an example, Colin?
Yeah, well, yes and no. So what I would say is the information that we get up front is very clear and concise. So we know what we're building. We know it's compliant. It's been through the compliance process. So the early designs go off to live it in Spain to get confirmation that the initial design is compliant. Then Mesh will do the drawings, and then they're the drawings that we're all working from. We know at that point that site, if it's built like that, is compliant effectively. Now, there are some challenges that could be along the way. The franchisee might not necessarily think that how it's currently drawn is what exactly they want. And different factors will feed into that. So kit design changes, thoughts about bigger functional areas, changes in the design manual during the design process, the introduction of recovery spaces, for instance, or changes to different wall finishes or signage. So all of those factors need to be, included and agreed effectively with Anytime Fitness. And that's where I think I mentioned we're brand ambassadors. So we're on site and we have a franchisee that's saying, I want this, I want that, I want the other. We obviously say to them, well, sadly, that you can't have that because of X, Y, Z. You might be able to do this, you might be able to do that, but you definitely can't do that.
Sure.
So what you need to do now is have a word with, compliance and see where the middle ground is, if there's a middle ground, and then we'll make the changes. So we're very, very, very tight on, we won't do anything without it being signed off as compliant.
Yeah, it's so important that trust works that way, isn't it? Because for us, the scale of our company, we want a member to walk in and feel that there is that brand consistency everywhere they go.
Yeah.
A franchisee isn't opening an independent gym; they're opening a franchise gym with a big brand, and to get that consistency, it needs to be built in the right way. So
when you go through the doors of the different, I mean, there's reciprocity across the network, of course. So when you go through the different doors, they've got to look and feel the same.
Yes.
I mean, the same's difficult, isn't it? Is it the same? Similar. It's difficult to say the
brand
same.
Consistency.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, every building's going to look slightly different because there's nuances in.
Yeah, I mean, you get some amazing buildings, and it has to be taken into consideration. I mean, I guess Dorchester, for instance, my good friends, Suki, Jazz, and Sunny, Grade 2 listed building.
Yeah.
So, a tremendous amount of work.
A lot of challenges.
Tremendous amount of work had to go in there with the landlord and the listings officer and Anytime Fitness to agree what was good to be basically a collaborative design internally. So, you've got bare brickwork there, you've got open rafters and this sort of thing. And we had to keep certain, ruddy old walls in place and things like that, but we were able to craft it in with a juxtaposition of some modern glass and this sort of thing, so that it actually looks like a really good club, and the guys there have smashed it, obviously.
They have. Well, I guess that's great to be able to for you to keep you on your toes to a certain degree, is to have a challenge. I've got a nice box here in Bermondsey that had challenges, but what was presented to you was a very appeared to be straightforward versus a Grade 2 listed building.
Yeah,
I guess you enjoy that.
I love it. To be honest, Kieran, I love it. I mean, Concepts Group, we've got 3 divisions. Gym Concepts is one of the divisions, and we created that recently just to reflect the amount of work that we're actually doing in the health and fitness industry. We started off with Anytime Fitness, and we've moved out to other brands, which I won't name here for obvious reasons.
Yeah, of course.
But I really enjoy this part of the business. We've got Interior Concepts, which is what we were talking about earlier, which is commercial office interior fit out, and Storage Concepts, which is racking, shelving, mezzanine flooring. But of course, mezzanine flooring crosses over into.
Well, we had a discussion about a fairly local site recently about that. So, there's definite crossovers. You've answered this one already, Colin, but I don't know if you've had any.
Before we go there,
I'll have a go. This is sort of my last one, really, to wrap up. Have you ever had what you'd classify as a disaster? Or a big challenge, or something that was unforeseen? And if you have, how did you fix it?
Well, I think big disaster. I wouldn't, like I said before, I don't think we have had, as far as my recollection, ever had what I would call a disaster. The unforeseen and the biggest challenges, as I've said, will normally come from, strip outs and things like that,
Sure.
or unforeseen, slabs and things that don't make pull tests, or floors that are too damp to lay flooring on and stuff like that. So I don't think I've never flooded a site or had the apartment above come into the free weights area or anything like that. So,
look, I'd say I guess that's a good answer. We wouldn't want a long list on.
No,
would we?
Absolutely not.
Fantastic.
Absolutely not.
Right, just to leave everyone with this, Colin, I think this will be a good one to finish on. The relationship and partnership with the brand has been 13 plus years. We've hit the triple figure milestone this year. Where do you see the partnership going in the next 15 years?
Wow.
It's a long
I'll be
time.
with somebody else because I'll be retired.
How many rounds of golf are you going to get in? I should have asked.
Exactly,
really, shouldn't I? Yeah.
I mean, I think from what I can see over the last sort of few months in particular with the new ownership and their thoughts about club openings and how quickly they want to sort of, get more sites open in the UK, and looking at what they've done in Australia, obviously, it's very exciting. We are hoping to maintain our sort of, status with Anytime Fitness, and, hopefully we, as a valued sort of partner and stay with you on that journey. We will look to ensure that we can provide the necessary support to the franchisees that want to use us over that period, however many that may be. And that may, and we've already spoken about that within the business, that may include for us having to, open our wings a little bit if we find that we need more people to support that. At the moment, I'm comfortable that we can, albeit we might have to drag people from, other parts of the business. But at the end of the day, you support the part of the business that's flourishing, and certainly the health and fitness side of the business is really flying. So,
Great to hear. And look, I sincerely hope that you're having to look at that and look at expansion with the growth trajectory that we've got. Colin, here's to the next 100 clubs. You've been a great guest, both on and off camera, I have to say. You've started my Friday morning in the best possible way.
I've enjoyed it.
Loved talking to you this morning. So thank you very much. And great podcast. Thank you.
Thank you, Kieran. Thank you. Enjoyed it. Cheers.